My name is Coralie Ponsinet. I'm a registered counsellor, registered with the Australian Counselling Association. I work with my practice, Wonderful Mess, and I've been providing counselling with Allos for 2 years. I became a counsellor because of my own experiences of mental, physical health turmoil, which led me to realize first mental health is a thing, because that's not how I grew up in the French countryside, never talking about it, but also realizing sometimes life is hard and it can be really helpful to have someone on your side who's just helping you to get back up. I like to say, for some of my friends or some of my loved ones, they think being a counselor is draining or that I need to do a lot of self-care. I find that this job nourishes me because I get the privilege to hear people's stories, to feel trusted by people when they may be at their most vulnerable or some of the moments in their lives when they're struggling. I see my job as a privilege, actually, more than a chore or training. For me, that's the most rewarding aspect of my job, getting to be trusted by people. Some of the unique strengths that I bring are coming from my lived experiences of mental and physical health struggles, which explain why my approach to counseling is based on compassion and on helping people realize what they're already doing, what they're already achieving, because often we think we go to counseling because we have some problems or we want to change. I think instead that counseling helps to understand who we are, to get to know ourselves, and I like to say it helps to make sense of what it is to be human, because we don't really learn at school what is it to have all these emotions, all these experiences, all tangled within ourselves. As a counselor, I say I specialize in trauma, but that's because over the past 3.5 years, and especially 2 years with my practice, I've realized people are not used to feeling heard, to have someone who's just there to listen to them, where their story matters, where they matter. And I found out that in this space, which is pretty sacred, having someone who cares about your story, people have been sharing with me some really, really hard things that they've gone through, and that has included abuse, family violence, things really hard that people go through. So when I say I specialize in trauma, for me it really means that I'm willing to be there, whatever people want to share with me, that it's never it is horrible, but it's never too much for me to hear, and that people don't have to manage my feelings and they can share with me, because my aim is to help them process or talk about things that are not so easy to talk about in a world that likes to keep things positive, or where some topics are deemed too hard to talk about. So yeah, specializing in trauma, but really in just making space for whatever people are going through, because life has ups, but it's got downs, and it's really not easy to feel that we can talk to people when we're going through downs without feeling like a burden or like we are ruining the mood when we're catching up with friends. For me, that's really what counseling is about, is a space where you can talk about honestly how you're feeling. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to manage the feelings of the counselor. One fun fact about me, Australia is the 4th country that I live and work in. So I was born in France, but I've lived in the UK, Singapore, and now Australia. So actually moved from Melbourne to Tasmania. So now I'm living on a tiny island at the other side of the world. And it's pretty cool. I like to debunk the myth that Tasmania is always cold and it rains a lot, because not sure if you knew that it rains much less here than in Melbourne. Counseling is necessary, is helpful, but also necessary at some point in our life, or many points in our lives, when just things feel too hard to handle on our own. And this is why, for me, EAP is so important, because it makes counseling accessible within your workplace. And really, I tell everyone around me, if your company has an EAP, just try it, because it can be really hard. I'm finding many people have never been to counseling. It can be very intimidating, feeling, oh, what am I going to talk about? Or do I really need this? Well, EAP is a great way to try it and to get to see for yourself that feeling heard, having a space where you matter, where you can just talk and the focus is on you. It can really, really help you. Just feeling heard can help you to process things and to already start feeling better. So I would say EAP is great. It exists. Many companies have it. Just try it. It's there for you. One of the key benefits of accessing the EAP is, first of all, it can be hard to acknowledge, things are a bit hard at the moment. I would like some support. Because then what's the next step? Having to seek support. It can be really where to start, how to look for the right support. This for me is the key main benefit of EAP. It's there. Try it, and you'll probably be surprised by how good it feels to feel heard and to talk to a counselor. Allos is different from other EAPs because it's all about being proactive. When I had to reach out to the EAP in the past, in my past career, it was really, well, first of all, I didn't even know what it was. As a migrant to Australia, I had never heard of EAP. It was not really put forward. I found it on the intranet, kind of hidden somewhere. What I like about Allos is that they're all about, having flyers visible on walls, on the organization's intranet, really having talks within organizations. So it's not a secret thing. It's something you put forward because you want employees to access it, to benefit from it. So this being proactive, not catching people when they're already struggling, not sure that something can help them, but more, I'm starting to experience something. Let's talk to the EAP. Let's start acting as early as possible. And the fact that Allos is always willing to create new ways with clients to bring EAP to the employees, to be creative in how the EAP becomes accessible to employees who maybe wouldn't reach out to the EAP usually. So having on-site counseling, having really close engagement, because it's really about making sure organizations and employees are supported, not just having a service that's there, but that not many people know about. My key message to anyone seeing this is, if you have access to Allos, try it. The service is there to really help you. It's a very supportive organization that acknowledges that sometimes life is tough. Sometimes just being human means we go through things that we don't really know how to handle. And you don't have to face that alone. Your organization has organized for Allos to be there for you. The EAP is about making you feel supported and making you feel that you don't have to face everything on your own. When you feel that it's too much to carry alone, just reach out. It is true that in 2024, it can still be daunting to acknowledge, I need counseling. Regardless what we hear about more and more people having to access mental health services, many people still think, but not me. I'm not someone who needs a counselor. I say instead, we can all benefit from seeing a counselor, from talking to someone, because it's not about having problems. It's about, feeling supported until you feel that you can handle things on your own. It's not supposed to be there forever. And it's about empowering you to just feel equipped to cope with things that maybe you were never ready for. Another key benefit from accessing the EAP is it's free for you. it's confidential. And when Allos says it's confidential, it's truly confidential. It's always a bit strange to access a service provided by the employer and thinking, oh, will the employer really not know anything about it? They won't. EAP is purely about supporting you. And Allos doesn't report anything back to the employer apart from perhaps the identified data about this is how many people access the service this quarter. But it's the aim of your employer by providing an EAP is not to track what people go to counselling for. It's to make sure that you feel supported when you need it.